What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Final Whistle. I'm Dan Europe, joined alongside my guy, Nathan Osler. Nate, it's been a while.
It
Missed
has.
uh missed a show this week, but we're back now. Got a lot to cover, weirdly. Usually in these weeks we don't have a lot to cover, but we do. And that's good. So Super Bowl's coming up. Got it.
Yeah.
We still have to cover the AFC and NFC championship games, which seemed like a month ago already, but
I know.
it's time to do it. So first game, what do you want to talk about? Which first one you want to talk about?
Here, I feel like the one I want to talk about first because I feel like we should save Kansas City and Buffalo for last. I
Uh-huh.
say we go Washington and Philadelphia. But
Okay.
first of all, like you're right. It feels like these were a month ago based off how
Yeah.
this is one of our weird weeks. I wasn't here on Tuesday. We're going to Indianapolis this weekend for the Royal Rumble, so that's going to be a time of our lives. But these games, Danny, I'll just say this: Jalen Hurts won me over.
Mm-hmm.
He won me over this past Sunday. I think he won a lot of people over. And just looking at the box score, he put up 246 passing yards. He's a guy that many were like, oh, he's not throwing the ball well here in the playoffs. Puts up a rating of 110.1 to QBR, 72.3. Jaden Daniels did have the better QBR, but I mean, he was practically throwing the ball all game long, 48 attempts, just because they were down really early. There were times where I was not a fan of the referees in this game, but I can't complain much. I was really confused with the whole AJ Brown versus Stephon Gilmore. I think it was. Was it Gilmore?
Yeah.
That whole argument. I don't know how AJ Brown didn't get a flag. I'm sorry. I think he was shoving in there as well.
I agree.
Everything went on Washington. People were calling AJ Brown soft after the game. I guess he won the mental war. He won the mental war. Washington, and people are going to blame the refs. I don't think Washington can blame the refs. They had 3 turnovers. They didn't play good football at all. They scored 23 points on this Eagles team, but this Eagles team finally had the game of their playoffs with 55 points. Saquon did his thing, of course. They couldn't stop him. Jalen Hurts turned it up. A.J. Brown showed up. Dallas Goedert, of course. Devontae Smith had a pretty nice game. I don't really know if there's anything negative to say about the Commanders. I don't think they were supposed to make it this far for a lot of people. They go 12-5. This was a team I think that won 4 games last year. This is a team fresh off of a sale of their team. This team was never supposed to be this good, but I think they are set for a few years down the road. I think they are set for a while, especially. I like what Terry McLaurin did this game. He averaged 17 every reception he had. Zach Ertz had a great homecoming in Philly. He put up 104 yards. They were not stopping Zach Ertz. But, we already talked about enough. Jaden Daniels is going to win Rookie of the Year. And I think this further proved he's a really good quarterback. He's going to be a good quarterback. I think he was the best quarterback in this draft class. And, there's nothing negative to say about this Commanders team. They just didn't play the best football. I think they hit that ceiling, and you could kind of tell against their division rival, especially in the playoff. You might be able to get a win against the Eagles in the regular season, but the playoffs are a completely different ballgame. They're going to have Coach of the Year. They're going to have Rookie of the Year. There's nothing negative to look back on this season at. I don't think if you're a Commanders fan. I think you're happy to at least say, we made the NFC Championship a year after we sucked. We've sucked for 20-plus years. They haven't been really competent, in my opinion, since RG3. And honestly, when's the last time we talked high on the Washington Commanders? So I guess that's all I have really, and I'll throw it back to you. But overall, I'll let you give your spiel before we get into Philly. But I have nothing negative to say about Washington this year.
Yeah, I think Washington exceeded expectations. You look at Washington, I think if you're a fan, you can't be upset with a loss here. I mean, you technically can, but you weren't even supposed to be here. You weren't even supposed to be in the playoffs. I mean, people were saying that Jaden Daniels was going to get benched by the end of the year. They didn't believe in him when he was drafted. They didn't think it was a good pick. I like Jaden Daniels. The kid comes out and he is knocking on the door already of being a top 5 quarterback after his rookie year. So I think as a Commanders fan, it's a bittersweet loss, right? Like you're upset, but you know that this is going to be the worst Commanders team for a long time. That was like if I'm a Commanders, I'm like, okay, that's going to be our worst team for a while. They're only going to get better. Only ever going to get better. That's going to be the worst Commanders team for a sizable amount of time, and they went to the conference championship. So take that with a grain of salt. I think looking at that offense, it's a great offense. Just need a little bit of help on defense. I mean, you got 55 points put up on you. Let Saquon Barkley just absolutely body you, to say the least. But it was a solid effort from the Commanders. 23 points against a good Eagles defense. I'll respect it, but I mean, if they want to win a Super Bowl, you gotta get past the Eagles, and it's a tough division they're in. The Cowboys are going to be healthy now. The Giants are still going to be poverty, but that's a tough division to be in. And if they can throw punches and hit jabs and hooks in that division, they can sweep in the playoffs for a long time, Nate.
Yeah. I think, and before I move on, the corner wasn't Stephon Gilmore. I got that wrong. It was Marshon Lattimore. I don't know why I get those two confused all the time, but when I'm looking at this game, a thing that I think a lot of people expected, this is from Fox Sports, updated last January 30th of this year. This was the total rankings for team pass and rush defenses. A good reason that the Commanders might have lost this game was their passing defense ranks third in the league, really good. But then their rushing defense, Daddy, where do you think they rank?
Bottom barrel.
29th out of 32.
Brutal.
They're tied with the Dallas Cowboys.
Ugh.
Tied with the Cowboys. They've allowed 10 playoff touchdowns via the run, it says. 177 playoff average yards. And I feel like Saquon Barkley inflated those numbers a lot. But overall, I'm not mad if I'm a Commanders fan. I think if I'm the Commanders and their fan base, I'm really excited for this offseason, especially with a new ownership group. I think they're going to go out and spend money. We saw them go out and get a Marshon Lattimore at the trade deadline. I'm very excited to see what they are going to add to Terry McLaurin, because I think they need a solid number 2, because that is clearly their number 1 guy. I think Zach Ertz is going to be there for a while. I think he's their tight end. They don't have an issue there, in my opinion. But I think they desperately need to add a wide receiver 2 or something, because Dyami Brown, Zacchaeus, those other guys, I mean, that can't really compete with the A.J. Browns, Devontae Smiths, and then you have the Lions, Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams. You can't compete with those top teams' wide receiver group if only one of your wide receivers is getting 51 yards, and that was Terry McLaurin, even though he's had more in the past. But I wasn't really upset with their running game either. They did what they got what they could get. Austin Eckler, I'm kind of curious what they're going to do with him. Is he going to be back? Because I think it was a 1-year deal. Brian Robinson Jr. seems to be their guy. But this is a Commanders team that I think is going to be shying away from the running back, just like the Ravens have, even though they have Derrick Henry. You have a mobile quarterback. You're not going to need a running back that much. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't really go pursue another running back. They just roll it with Jaden Daniels, Brian Robinson. Who knows if Eckler's back? But moving on, I guess the Philadelphia Eagles side of things. MVP of this game, I'll give it to Jalen Hurts. I know Saquon Barkley had 3 touchdowns, but here's the thing with Jalen Hurts. He silenced a lot of doubters. He silenced me. I was doubting how he's been playing. I know Saquon had an amazing game, but Jalen Hurts was really efficient. He went 20 of 28, 246, 8.8 yards average. He had a touchdown. He only took 2 sacks. That O-line is already really impressive. Jalen Hurts had his best playoff game this year, and honestly, maybe in the last couple years. I think this was a big game for Jalen Hurts. I think it was important to shift the, attention away from him being not decent in the playoffs, because a lot of people were saying I think we both agreed he was the 4th worst quarterback in the playoffs right now out of the Final 4. We had Mahomes, Allen, Jaden Daniels, and then Jalen Hurts. I know Saquon Barkley had an amazing game, and I'm not going to take anything away from that. But, Jalen Hurts showed up. He showed up well. And how about our guy Kenny Pickett taking the victory formation kneel to send the Eagles to the Super Bowl? And we'll get to that all later. But overall, this Eagles team, if the Lions were going out, this was the team everyone had as either number 1 or number 2. And I'm not surprised they're making the Super Bowl. Not surprised at all. They did a lot of things right. They were very disciplined. Quinyon Mitchell actually had an interception. I think it was actually his first interception of his career, which is kind of crazy, as he's been one of the better rookie corners in the league. And it's crazy that they got him and DeJean, the two top corners in the draft. So this Eagles team did nothing wrong, putting up 55 points. They put up 21 in the fourth quarter while the Commanders were already dead. They just couldn't stop them. The Eagles' backup running back, Will Shipley, had that 57-yarder run, and he had a 4 for 77 day and a touchdown. So this Eagles team's a juggernaut. I'm really curious how it's going to go against the Chiefs.
Yeah. I look at this game. I don't know. I disagree with you. I think Saquon Barkley is my MVP. I think there's no more dominant player right now in the sport than Saquon Barkley. I mean, 15 carries on 118 yards. He has the first carry he got a 60-yard touchdown to the house. Man, he's just different right now. He's walking different. He's playing different. He is what is carrying Philly right now. I mean, it's unreal. I love it. I think it's going to be tough to stop in the Super Bowl from the Chiefs. Jalen Hurts played well. You're not wrong. No interceptions. He had a great passer rating of 100, 110, a good QBR. But I don't know if I can trust a Jalen Hurts to win me a Super Bowl. I can trust a Saquon Barkley to win a Super Bowl. But if the Chiefs somehow figure out the way, because no team has done it so far, to stop Saquon Barkley, to just stop him dead in the rights. He can't get a yard. He's has a fight for every yard, and you got to rely on Jalen Hurts to play 3 snaps, try and play an air raid offense. He's done it before Saquon, and he's done it well at sometimes. He's done it very poorly at sometimes as well. So I think looking at the next matchup, which would be the Super Bowl, it's tough for me to rely on Hurts, but I think when you have such a safety blanket like Barkley, Hurts doesn't have to be so perfect. You know what I mean? So the defense for the Eagles, I think, is something people just aren't talking about enough. It's the best defense in the playoffs right now. I mean, the Chiefs and the Eagles have really good defenses. The Eagles, I think, have a better defense than the Chiefs.
The best passing defense.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great game to watch, Nate.
Yeah, when it comes down to total defenses after the regular season, this was the rankings on Fox Sports. Total defense, Eagles ranked number 1. They've only allowed 5 playoff touchdowns, it says, which is kind of crazy. Passing defense, number 1. And then the rushing defense, they rank 10th. And I guess my final words before we go to the other game is, man, I said it earlier, this Eagles team looks like a juggernaut. It really does. I don't know. Is this where Saquon's going to get his ring? Does Saquon Barkley give a big middle finger to the San Francisco Giants? I'm ready for baseball, man. Is this his big middle finger to the New York Giants front office? And I'm forever going to remember. I feel like Hard Knocks offseason is never going to happen again after the whole Giants GM and that whole front office getting exposed by NFL Films. And you remember all those clips they've posted. It was the whole thing about their president coming in and says, I don't know how I'll be able to sleep at night if Saquon went to one of our rivals, someone else in our division. And what happens? He goes to their division rival, the Philadelphia Eagles, and has probably the best season of his career, I would say the best of his career, and almost breaks the rushing record for running backs. I'm kind of when we're looking back at it, do you think they should have let him play final week to break that record or no?
Yeah, I do. You
think?
I mean, I only need 100 yards, which is has been light work for Saquon.
Yeah.
I understand an injury standpoint, but I think Saquon's a pretty selfless guy. It might have been his decision to just kind of let the young guys eat. But man, if I had a chance to break history and have the greatest season for a running back of all time, I think I got to do it. You know, Saquon is going to implement himself as one of the best running backs of this generation, I think. And that would be a way to take it from a spot lower and put it up. That's you do that, you're automatically in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Saquon, I wouldn't say is a Hall of Famer yet. He does that automatically a Hall of Famer. So if my coach said, listen, you need 100 yards and you're in the Hall of Fame, done.
Bro, if you're in the record
Done.
books, you should be in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, Kenny Pickett's in some record books.
Here, I have a trivia question for you about Saquon.
Yep.
So he's put up a lot of 100-yard games.
Mm-hmm.
There's only been 5 times this season a team has kept him under 100 yards. Can you name those 5 teams?
Pittsburgh Steelers.
That is one. He allowed 65 on 19 carries.
5 teams, you said?
Yeah, there's 4 more. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the latest one.
I want to look at their schedule, but it will show me the scores. I don't really know who they play.
I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
One of them is in their division.
The Commanders?
No.
Cowboys.
Yes, the Cowboys allowed 66.
Okay.
Nicholas gets one right. Bucks.
Okay.
The Bucks allowed a total of 84. And then there's 2 more. One of them is in the AFC North and another one is in the NFC South. And here's the funny thing. This AFC North team allowed the least. It was his worst game.
Ravens?
No.
Browns.
Yes.
Wow.
Can you guess how many rushing yards he had?
No. 40?
47 on
Wow.
18 carries. And
That's
then the
crazy.
last, you have any idea on the last team? It was back in their second, it was like their first couple games.
No clue.
The Atlanta Falcons, 95.
Oh, wow.
In his first 5 games, he had 3 of those under 100s. So the Browns win the award for the team that had the best game against Saquon. How about those Cleveland Browns? Moving on, like Nicholas says, anyone but the Chiefs. Why? Danny, here we go again. You ready to talk Chiefs-Bills part 50?
Yep.
Chiefs win it again. I picked the Bills. You picked the Chiefs. I feel we both picked the Bills and Lions to make the Super Bowl, but then we changed our minds this final couple weeks based off things were going. The Chiefs win it in the final minute, practically. The Bills had a chance, and then it was dropped by Dalton Kincaid. I don't know how Josh Allen got that throw off. I really don't. It was nuts. In and out of Kincaid's hands when he came back to go get it. You said it perfectly, no stopping this Chiefs team. And I'll be honest, I kind of just watched the recap of this game because I wasn't really impressed by being like, I kind of know what's going to happen here. I had a feeling the Chiefs were going to do it after the Eagles won because have you seen the Super Bowl conspiracy logo thing?
Yeah.
It's green and red. But I don't know. I watched the recap. I was playing Xbox during this game, but watching it on the side. People were complaining about the refs. Did you watch this game more?
I did. I watched the whole game.
Please explain the referee stuff more in depth.
I
remember
there was a 4th down with Josh Allen that QB sneak that he didn't get. People thought that he should have got. There was a call on a throw on 3rd and long down to Xavier Worthy.
I remember that one.
People said the ball hit the ground.
Yep.
There was challenged. Rolled the Chiefs ball at like the 1-yard line. What else was there? There was those are the 2 big ones. There was like on the last play whenever Josh Allen threw that ball and Kincaid dropped it. The refs threw a flag, and then once Kincaid dropped it, they picked it back up. So people were saying, well, if he would have caught that, they would have just been like holding, and then you know what I mean. Erase the miracle, and a great throw from Josh Allen. I was never a big guy in believing this is ref ball, but man, they definitely get calls in their favor. I don't think it's rigged. I don't think that the refs are rigging this game for the Chiefs to win. I think I think people that think games are rigged and conspiracy, I think you're just flat out stupid. It's not possible for a referee crew and a league to be getting away with that for years now. It's just not possible. Something leaked would come out, something like that. So those people that always try and say that, oh, this is actually rigged, or the NFL's actually rigged, scripted. I think when you say that, you sound so stupid and so dumb that I don't want to continue the conversation with you because of how dumb you sound when you say that. So, but I do think that, you look back at the New England Patriots dynasty, there were times that they were favored in calls. I think that it can just stem down to this team is just so perfect that when they do get calls, it's in those moments because that's when teams have to get the calls to get a third down against them. You got to hold a little bit, but there are bad calls, and there's bad calls in every game. But the Chiefs seem to be getting a lot of bad calls in their favor. They've done it all season. They've figured out ways to win games that they shouldn't win, and they do it well. It reminds me of a lot of the Patriots legacy. I don't think I hate this team nearly as much as I hated the Patriots back in like 2015, 2017. But man, I was a big Chiefs guy. I'm starting to dislike them just a little bit more. But I still like Mahomes. But man, you got to feel bad for Josh Allen, don't you?
Man, I'll say this before I get to Josh Allen and stuff. I have to say this, and I thought about this after that game. I was on my buddy. Right after the Bills lost, I immediately said, and I was like, man, that's a hot take I just said. We're Steelers fans. We had to witness the Patriots beating us in the AFC Championship game all the time. I feel like the Patriots dynasty they have made is more tolerable to watch than this Chiefs one. I don't know why. Those Patriots teams were just special. I know they had everyone said the refs and stuff, but I feel like this Chiefs team right now is just, I can't watch them. It's the most predictable stuff. Nicholas says, it's not the amount of calls, it's when they're called.
Yeah.
It either ends a drive for the opponent or keeps the Chiefs' drives alive.
True.
Chiefs, hate them. Here's the thing with the Chiefs, when I'm looking at these Patriots and Chiefs dynasties, I feel like the Patriots dynasty was more fun to watch, even though we're Steelers fans and hated watching them beat us. Those teams are just special because they were different every year. There was different guys making plays. You had Gronk coming in and out, Julian Edelman making plays. I forget Danny Amendola was in there half the time. These are guys you wouldn't expect. The Chiefs dynasty is just Mahomes, Travis Kelce getting shoved down our throats every single week. There's no one else. I don't like Taylor Swift either, and that's probably part of this. It's just the NFL media pushes them all down our throats. Then I have to see the Bundle Rooski state.
Oh, yeah, that's so annoying.
Oh my gosh, like Nicholas says, he agrees with me. It's beyond boring. Agrees. Kelce and Swift are insufferable. I would honestly say I would rather go through the Patriots dynasty again if we had to have one.
Oh, come on. Patriots are blatantly cheated.
This Chiefs
multiple
team,
times.
When's the last time? How many straight AFC Championships games is this for them?
5.
I feel like it's been more than 5. It has to be, because the last time they lost was to
Joe Burrows when they lost.
Yeah, this is 7 straight AFC Championship game appearances in 5 Super Bowls since becoming their starter in 2018. It's getting to the point where I'm like, is this dynasty going to be better than this Patriots one? What is the max rings they're going to win? Because you think Travis Kelce's starting to get up there in age. How much longer is he going to play? Because everyone's been hinting at when's Travis Kelce going to retire? Everyone's like, when is this going to happen? Because his age, let me look that up very quick. He is I don't know why it's not showing me his age. I don't want to do the math. 35. So how many more years do you give Travis Kelce in the league? Usually you don't play that long.
2, 3.
Let me see this. So let me ask you this, and I know it's a new era or whatever, and Brady changed the game with calls. But if Mahomes got hit like Brady back in the early years of his career, there would be a public execution.
That's every quarterback, though.
I feel like some quarterbacks get the extra calls. I don't know. But yeah, that's my little Chiefs rant. But going back to the Bills, man, this team is getting to the point where I said when we did our predictions, and after the Bills beat the Ravens, I flat out told myself out loud as I walked out of my room after that game, I said, this has to be the year for the Bills. It has to be. They took down Baltimore with the luck of the draw, aka Mark Andrews dropping a 2-point conversion and a bad interception by Lamar. This had to have been the year for Buffalo. They beat the Chiefs in the regular season. And what happens? It comes down to the final drive, and Allen throws an incomplete pass that's dropped by Dalton Kincaid, And I honestly don't understand how Josh Allen got that ball out. I don't know if you remember the play or not, but he was getting tackled. I don't know how he found the guy. And that was showing how good Josh Allen has been. And I don't know. There's clearly a need for this Buffalo team, and I think it is wide receiver. I think James Cook is clearly their running back one for years now. I think he's solidified himself in that role. But every year it's like I don't know. And now Josh Allen has to go through another gauntlet of Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals, and whoever else is sneaky. It's so hard to win on the AFC side for him. And we talked about
so hard.
And Nicholas, I'll leave this one up. We talked about this, I think, last week about how when we did our MVPs and stuff, the AFC side for quarterbacks is so much more dominant than the NFC. Because we think about this. AFC has Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert even in that conversation. CJ Stroud can be up there for a good quarterback. That's at least 6 solid quarterbacks in this playoffs that were in it, except for Joe Burrow, of course. But then we go to the NFC. What is there? Jalen Hurts and Jared Goff, Jaden Daniels, maybe 3?
Yeah.
The AFC is so dominated by quarterback play that there was really only maybe 4 teams set up for success right now. And those 4 teams, even though the Bengals didn't make the playoffs, I'd put them in those 4 teams. It is the Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, and Bengals. Those teams have the easiest chance to make the Super Bowl because they developed a quarterback and got the pick of the draw. Imagine the alternate timeline, Danny, if the Bears drafted Patrick Mahomes. Mm-hmm. If Mahomes didn't drop, I think, to like 9th or 10th it was. This good old quarterback out of Texas Tech, no one really knew out of the draft. Goes really high in the draft, and it's Patrick Mahomes. And he becomes a superstar. There's no reason he shouldn't be the highest paid quarterback in this league. I'm sorry. That's the thing with the inflation, too, with that. But Nicholas says in the chat, don't get me started on MVPs. So livid it's not Saquon, but for sure the AFC is much better currently. Hurts and Daniels are the studs in the NFC. Practically correct. And like when we talk about NFC, like quarterbacks, and I think we both said this, like I was so pro, and I remember talking to you about this years ago. When Cooper Kupp won the Triple Crown, I was so pro he should win MVP because it's rare for a receiver to win a Triple Crown award. Yeah. Saquon almost broke the running back record. I think it's Barry Sanders has the record, if I'm not mistaken.
Jamar Chase also won the Triple Crown and is not getting any looks for MVP.
I know, like Jamar Chase is getting no love at all.
The MVP's been a quarterback award. I mean, no one's won it. A non-quarterback hasn't won it since Adrian Peterson. The last defensive player to win it was, I think, Lawrence Taylor. It's not the most valuable player anymore. It's the most valuable quarterback. We know that, it's annoying. It's stupid.
And then they give like an Opoy out, but it's gonna be Saquon. So Jamar Chase is getting nothing. I think they should honestly give a running back, wide receiver, and quarterback MVP at this point. Honestly. Yeah. I think it could be like how the the only sport, and now we're getting in this tangent. We'll get back to the Bills in a second, but I like how the MLB does it. They have so many teams. There's 2 MVPs. There's 1 MVP for each league, AL, NL. That is the only sport that does it like that. There's only 1 NBA MVP, 1 NHL, 1 NFL. There's so many different teams, players that could be an MVP conversation. They just don't have a chance to get it. But yeah, like Jamar got robbed. Great Triple Crown. You missed the playoffs and no individual award. Oh, I love the Bengals. Hate them too. But going back to the Bills, man, like I said, this had to have been the year for Buffalo. It had to have, and this team clearly needs more wide receiver help. Amari Cooper didn't do much since that trade. It happened early. He was kind of quiet all year, had some injury issues. Your number one's practically Khalil Shakir right now.
Yeah.
He was pretty decent, not going to lie. I like what Khalil Shakir can do. I like the upside maybe Keon Coleman can have. But they need way more out of Amari Cooper. They need way more out of maybe a free agent. Go out and get somebody. They're probably going to draft someone late in this round where their pick is probably like 29th or 30th, whatever one they got. But I'll throw it back to you. Like, what does Buffalo need? I would say wide receiver first.
Yeah. I think they need a solidified wide receiver one. You said it right. I mean, you can't have Dalton Kincaid as your wide receiver one. You can't have Amari Cooper. You can't have, Khalil Shakir. Those guys aren't wide receiver ones. It's clear. Draft one. This is a great receiver draft. Trade up. I mean, they're studs in that draft. Home field, yeah, Nicholas. But
That would be huge.
They need a wide receiver. I think their running back's great. Their line's great. Their defense is pretty good. But they need some help in wide receiver. They need a dominant guy. Like when they had Stephon Diggs, that was Josh Allen's guy. I don't know. I think that it just reminds me a lot of being a Steelers fan with Ben Roethlisberger. Just couldn't get the job done.
Man, I'm looking at the free agents. I'm starting to think they're not going to draft one because it's like you already have 2 young wide receivers in Shakir and Coleman they want to use. Here's the top free agents right now. Number 1 is clearly T. Higgins. Could you see that? Do you think the Bills spend the money?
Yeah. No.
I don't think the Bills are a team that spends a lot.
They don't.
Number 2.
They don't.
Chris Godwin. I think he's going back to Tampa.
I'd like to see him in Buffalo or obviously Pittsburgh, but I think Buffalo would be cool. Pretty cool.
Number 3, and I didn't even know he's a free agent. They just traded for him, Amari Cooper. He's the 3rd best free agent. Is he going to be brought back? He's ranked as the 7th best free agent by PFF.
I'd like to think so.
Number 4 is Stephon Diggs. How about that? I think they burnt that bridge.
They did burn that bridge.
That's done. Number 5, D-Hop. I think the Chiefs are going to keep him or he goes somewhere else.
He'll stay in Kansas City, I think.
And then your 6 through 10 are Marquise Brown, Darius Slayton, Keenan Allen, Deontay Johnson is ranked number 9th.
Yeah.
And then Mike Williams, number 10. There is a drop-off, desperate drop-off from what I would say is honestly Marquise Brown.
Yeah.
I think the drop-off's honestly after D-Hop.
It is.
Like Marquise Brown fell off in my opinion. Darius Slayton fell off. Deontay Johnson and Keenan Allen fell off, especially Deontay. Mike Williams, he disappeared after he got traded.
Yeah.
He scored 1 touchdown. He was basically in Steelers jail. Yeah, like they're all so mid, like Nicholas says. Like there's only 2 good ones, maybe. Honestly, 4, maybe 3 if Stephon Diggs performs well, because Amari Cooper did not have a great year, in my opinion.
No.
The clear top 2 are Higgins and Chris Godwin. This wide receiver class is really good, but overall, like this Bills team desperately needs a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else more to add about this?
It's just when will it be? It's going to be a while, Nate. It is, sadly. And I don't know, man. I think that they just gotta it's gotta be the year. I'll bring it back to this, try and turn it back into a basketball standpoint, because that's where I am. Yeah, Nate, the only reason I have this right here, Toronto Raptors championship ring. I don't know if it will focus. The only reason right here I have this is because this man left our conference. Okay. Every single year in the NBA as a Raptors fan, it was LeBronto. We get there, and somehow every year we face LeBron, and he just smacks us with his backhand, and we're done. It was always we'd always have the best record in the East, and just get smacked by LeBron. This is exactly what's going on in the NFL. It's LeBronto, but in Kansas City. Okay, and literally the LeBron left the East. Raptors won the championship that year. He left the East. So either, I never want to prey on an injury. Mahomes has to get hurt for the season and miss the playoffs, or Mahomes has to get traded and leave the AFC.
Well, he's there forever.
That's the only way. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And let me ask you this question.
He's got the only reason the Bills have a hope to get to the Super Bowl is Mahomes got to get hurt. But in that would, I don't want to root. No one's rooting for that. I'm not saying I want that to happen, but I'm saying that is literally the only way is if someone else bounces the Chiefs, or somehow Mahomes isn't there somehow. But the Bills are never going to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. It's never going to happen ever, Nate, ever.
Let me ask you this question before we move on. About Josh Allen, is I saw this, people propose this on social media after this game. Josh Allen is at least on the Bills through the 2028 season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't take Josh Allen as a guy to run away from.
I don't either.
This, but if you're Josh Allen, hypothetically, and this Bills team does not do anything like to give him more weapons, do you think he's gone after 2028? You think he leaves, tests free agency, or do you think he's a Bill for life?
Tough to say.
It's getting close. It's 2025. That's at least 3 more seasons. Like, honestly, it's a solid question to have. Like, if he wants to win, do you think he stays in the AFC? I would hope he does, but actually, we're Steelers fans. I hope he doesn't.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, I think that he's a Bill for life, honestly.
Well, you know what he's not? A
What?
Pro Bowler, because he backed out, and I
Yeah.
think Russell Wilson of the Pittsburgh Steelers took his place. I just want to talk briefly about the Pro Bowl games and how dumb they are.
Yeah, it's
This,
ridiculous.
Danny, I think we can all agree is the worst all-star game in all sports. I think it just needs abolished at this point. I think what they should do is just say you're a Pro Bowler and not do anything. No one wants to play tackle football. No one watches this, and no one goes to this thing.
Yeah.
People that go to this get tickets for like $20 because they're cheap, because the NFL just like, here you go. I looked it up last year whenever they were advertising these tickets. The cheap, like they were going for $50 each. They're cheap. No one wants to go to this thing. It's awful. I get to watch Chris Boswell play dodgeball instead of kicking. Like, that's my thoughts on this Pro Bowl. I think it's dumb. I love how Russell Wilson's a Pro Bowler, so he can say in his contract thing, I'm a 10-time Pro Bowler. But yeah, I just want to hear your thoughts on these Pro Bowl games. Yeah.
It's an embarrassment. I think I miss the days where Sean Taylor was laying out a punter in the Pro Bowl. Mac Jones was gritting. I think just seeing the guys in pads makes it better. And I know a lot of people for a long time were saying get rid of the Pro Bowl game whenever it was up in pads. It was only a few years ago, and it was embarrassing. It's just it's every All-Star game. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened in the world to where players stop trying in All-Star games. Look at the NBA. The dunk contest is the biggest joke in all of. It's a bit. I'd say the dunk contest is a bigger joke than the NFL Pro Bowl. It's close. MLB has the best All-Star game, I'd say. I'd argue, just because it's baseball. There's no contact really in baseball. Baseball's just not. You don't have to run through someone, but guys just don't want to hurt each other. They're friends. They don't want to get hurt. They don't want to hurt each other in the offseason and miss next year, or contract reasons. But the Pro Bowl is a joke. Playing dodgeball, it's embarrassing. I think there's got to be another way. I think the NFL has literally tried figuring out every single way possible, and there's just no way that they figure this out. It's an embarrassment, Nate. Total embarrassment.
Yeah, I'm starting to think where it's like, do I even want? Yeah, here's the Steelers posted this 6 hours ago. Here's who's playing in what game. Passing the test, Russell Wilson. Relay race, Minkah Fitzpatrick. Participating in a game called Helmet Harmony is Cam Hayward and Miles Killebrew. Dodgeball players are Chris Boswell and 2 new Pro Bowlers, Patrick Queen and Isaac Seumalo. The Great Football Race on Sunday, Chris Boswell. Tug of War, Cam Hayward and Isaac Seumalo. And playing in the ultimate flag football game, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Miles Killebrew, Patrick Queen, and Mr. Unlimited, Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I love it so much. But yeah, speaking of the Steelers, we were going to talk about this on Tuesday, but I couldn't come on. Art Rooney gave his press conference, and something did stick out to me here. The quote, and here's the thing about this press conference. Usually they leave them up. You can't find it anywhere. It's like nowhere to be found. And I desperately remember a quote he gave. And it was him saying they learned nothing out of the Kenny Pickett situation. They learned nothing about how to develop a rookie quarterback. It's the same thing every year, man. Same stuff. He just says the same stuff. I'm starting to despise Rooney more than Bob Nutting, honestly. Just because the Steelers have actual priorities set.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, it's a mess, Nate, in Pittsburgh. It's for every sports team right now in Pittsburgh. It's a mess.
People want him to draft Jalen Milroe.
I can see that happening. I don't think Milroe would be a great NFL quarterback. I could eat my words on that because
You know what?
there's a lot of guys that I didn't think would be good and they're good. There's a lot of guys I thought would be horrible and they're good. So obviously I don't know, but I want to see Pittsburgh take a receiver. I don't know. This season was such a disappointment, but such a but also at the same time non-disappointment.
You know what? I'm gonna throw this on you in last second. I just have an idea for something.
Sure.
I say every week, and I'm gonna share my screen here, if it lets me. Present screen. Let's start doing this every week because you know it's draft season. Let's do our mock draft.
All right.
I'm pick the Steelers. Enter draft. So we're gonna do the 3 rounds. So let's see what happens.
Let's just do the first.
They got Cam.
Simulate.
They got Cam Ward. So here's the picks the Steelers could make in this. So here's what they have: Cam Ward, number 1. McMillan. They have Travis Hunter falling to 5.
That's absurd.
I've been seeing that a lot. Ashton Genty here to the Dolphins. So Steelers at 21. You said they need a wide receiver. Good old Igbuka is right there for the taking.
Igbuka, for sure.
Jack Sawyer is right there.
Igbuka.
Matthew Golden.
Igbuka.
Yeah, I agree. So we have that. Let's see here. We get graded for this too. I want to see what we get. Ooh, I don't know. That's kind of enticing me.
Scadamboo?
Yeah. So when I'm looking at this, you want to see what the quarterbacks are.
Nah.
I'm just curious. They have Milroe at 68th. So next time they would come up, they probably wouldn't get Milroe.
Let's take.
They need a DB too.
Yeah.
So your highest defensive back is Sebastian Castro.
Rip it. Let's go see Bass.
You want to get a safety?
I don't know. All I care about is a receiver, honestly.
What are you thinking?
Let's go Cam Scadaboo.
That would be fun, not going to lie. Cam Scadaboo.
I don't think he'll be really much of anything.
They're going to replace Najee Harris with Cam Scadaboo.
Yeah, that depends if Najee leaves or not.
And here you go. Final. I'm curious, what would be the top quarterback?
Well, we could have got Quinshawn Junkins.
Will Howard.
We could have got Junkins.
Yeah, we overdrafted on Scadaboo.
In the 3rd round for sure. And Devin Neal's there too. Shout out college football. Shout out Nicholas. I used to run him in college football with Devin Neal. Hope you're watching, Nicholas.
You think the Steelers would take a tackle out of William and Mary? Charles Grant?
Yep.
What do you think?
Yeah, let's go with the tackle.
You think they do the best one or the best one from an actual Power 5?
Let's go with the best one from a Power 5.
Donovan Jackson out of Ohio State?
Sure.
Or did they go with the guard out of Georgia?
I like Georgia guards. Get Broderick out of here. Let's go with the guard.
Replace him with another Georgia guy. Okay, let's see what we get. You're going to do the rest of this. What do you think we got?
F.
You know what? We didn't do awful. They hated the Georgia pick.
They hated it, Nate.
They loved the Igbuka pick.
I did
They
too.
did not like. I don't think they like Scadaboo much.
Mm-mm.
They hated this guy. That was a jump. Well, I'm gonna stop sharing. We get one of those every day. We'll do it again next week. See if it changes. But yeah, that's that. You have anything else to add today? I know it's been a shorter episode.
Not really. Shorter episode. Not a lot to talk about. We'll get Super Bowl coverage though next episode, and we'll try and find the game to play or something fun to do. But
maybe
just a short episode. Yeah, tier list. Sure, I'm down for that. We'll find a tier list. Drop a comment down below what tier list we should do, or if we should do any sort of games. But for today, that's gonna do it. Got anything else to say, Nate?
I'm not gonna talk about Justin Tucker at all.
Yeah, bad situation. They're calling him. He's got a new nickname though, Nate.
Deshaun Watson Part 2 or something?
Justin Toucher.
Okay. AB, I have Twitter up on my computer on my other monitor. It's just AB posting AI images of Deshaun Watson.
Just
and
weird. Obviously innocent until proven guilty, but
it's a bad situation.
Crazy look for Justin Tucker. Always thought he was a good guy, but
good. I'm gonna say
wild and wicked accusations. Some wicked accusations with Deshaun Watson. Don't know what's going on, but crazy. We'll leave it at that, though.
We're gonna leave it at that.
Maybe if something gets finalized with that, we'll talk about it more. But until then, that will do it for this episode of The Final Whistle. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.